Hello and welcome to Whatcha Reading. We are so excited to talk to you today about books. We're going to tell you about what we have read, what we're reading now, and what we're reading next. I am your host. My name is Brenna. I am the advisory supervisor here at the Skokie Public Library. My guest today is Rummanah, and if you follow our social media accounts, you have certainly seen her talking about books before. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brenna. My name is Rummanah. I'm one of the advisory librarians here at Skokie Public Library, and one of my main jobs is here to help you find your next read, your next listen, and your next watch.
Great. Well, welcome to the show. Would you like to get us started and tell us about a book that you have liked and enjoyed?
Sure. I love talking about books. Okay, so my first pick is called Halfway There by Christine Mari. This is a graphic memoir, and I know you are really into graphic memoirs.
I am. It's one of my favorite genres.
Yeah, so one of my resolutions this year, I do reading resolutions, and one of my resolutions this year is to read more nonfiction. Mm-hmm. And so I figured if I pick up a graphic memoir, not only that counts for that resolution,
absolutely it counts,
but it also gives a nice balance of the other books that I read. So this one is as I said, is a graphic memoir. It takes place in the early, I would say like mid-2000s. Our main character is Christine Mari. She's turned 19. She's always had this hole that she's felt. So she's always been haunted by the word half. And that's because her father is American and her mother is Japanese. And so she is mixed or biracial, if you want to call that, as well. And so she's always had this sense of emptiness in her life. And so she decides when she turns 19 to fill that emptiness by going and studying abroad in Japan. Mm-hmm. And when she goes to Japan, she has this feeling that she's going to find herself and become whole. But what she realizes is that even in Japan, she's not seen as fully Japanese either. She's always considered hafu, which means half or mixed. And so she goes through this spiral where she feels isolated. She doesn't know the language very well. She doesn't really make a lot of friends. And she kind of goes into this depression spiral. But she's helped out with her grandmother, who notices that she is having some difficulties, and they kind of develop their relationship. And she learns how to accept herself and love herself. So I really dug this one.
Right.
Yeah, what about you?
So for those of you at home, I get all my graphic novel recommendations from Rummanah, so I will definitely be picking that one up, and you should as well.
Yeah.
So my first book is called The Truth According to Ember by Nava. Rummanah, I know you're a fan of this book as well. We've talked about it a lot.
Yes.
So this is a romance. It takes place in Oklahoma. Our main character is Ember, and she has just landed her dream job. She's going to be an accountant. One small catch, she lied a little bit on her job application. So she said that she has an accounting degree. She actually never finished the program. She also marked her race as white rather than Native American because she has found that is an easier way to land a job. So it's her first day. Things are going great. She's adjusting to the corporate life, and she meets the IT guy, Danice, and sparks are flying. They fall for each other really quickly, but the office has a no romance policy, so they have to keep it secret. One thing that I really liked about this book is that it's fun, it's funny, it's upbeat, it's fast-paced, it's a little bit steamy, but it also deals with some more serious themes. So racism and discrimination are something that these characters are encountering. They also have some challenges and hardships in their personal lives, and the author handles these things with a lot of care and compassion, and I think it adds a lot of depth to the characters. And we just need more Indigenous romances in general. I can't wait to see what Nava does next. This is for romance readers or anyone who's curious about getting into romance. If you're an Emily Henry fan, for example, you might want to check this one out. It is The Truth According to Ember by Nava.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved this romance so much. Read it in probably 2 sittings because I couldn't put it down. And I just really love the characters and their chemistry.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's actually one of the few Indigenous romances that was picked up by a Big 5 publisher. So that was huge. And I believe she's got a new book coming out this summer.
I think it's July,
right?
Yeah, not too far out.
Yeah. Really looking forward to that one.
Yeah. So tell me about what you're reading now.
So switching gears, this is a little darker than Truth According to Ember, but I really like this one. I'm about halfway through. It's called The Queen's Spade by Raughley. This is described as a historical thriller. It's inspired by true events. It reimagines the life of Sarah Forbes Bonnet. Have you heard of Sarah Forbes Bonnet?
Sounds familiar, but tell me about her.
Okay, so she was actually an African princess from the Yoruba people. She was a princess, and her family was actually captured by the Dahomey tribe and were killed, and she was captured, I think, around 5 to 7 years old, and there's contradicting records whether she was held for ransom or she was held as a gift or a bargaining tool. She's picked up by a sailor from Frederick E. Forbes, and he was basically on his mission. This is when Britain had their mission to do anti-slavery, abolishing slavery on the trade, and so they went to the coast, found her, and then there are some reports where she was gifted to him as a ward for Queen Victoria. There are others say she was bargained for that, so there's a little bit discrepancy there. But she's taken to England. She's removed from her title. She's removed from her name. She's dubbed Sarah Forbes Bonnet, Forbes because of the captain, Bonnet because that's the ship that she came in. And so this book basically takes place when she's a teen, and she's now simmering with revenge, and she wants to take revenge on everybody she's been held captive, done re-education, so on and so forth, all the way up to Queen Victoria herself. And so she is on a mission of revenge, and this girl does not play.
We love a revenge story.
Yeah. So I would describe this more of like a historical slow burn thriller. There's a little bit dashes of romance here and there, but she definitely has a plan, and she's sticking to it. Right now, I'm at the point where Queen Victoria kind of has her suspicions of what she's doing, and so now she's thrown a curveball that when she's turned 18, 19, she has plans to marry an arranged marriage. So this whole question about like what is justice, what is freedom? Is she really held as a captive? Is she still enslaved? Is it now a guilty cage? Who knows? But really, I like this one.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I actually have a historical fiction as well, but a very different one. It is Homeseeking by Karissa Chen. And this is for those of you that like a deep dive historical fiction. So it starts in 1940s in China, and we meet our two main characters, Suchi and Haiwen. And they're childhood best friends, and they get into their teen years and fall in love. And then war comes to China, and they are separated. So 60 years later, they're in Los Angeles. They run into each other at a market, and they recognize each other, and the past just comes back to them. So this is a book that takes place from China to Taiwan to the U.S. over many years. As I said, it starts in the 40s and goes to about current day. And what I liked, it is a bit of a longer book, but we spend a lot of time with these characters, and they're written really well. Mm-hmm. One of them plays violin, the other is a singer. So if music is something you're interested in, that's part of the story as well. It's really discussable if you have a book club. It talks about, issues of war and trauma and immigration, and there's a lot to get into if you like to discuss books in that way. So I really enjoyed it. It's Homeseeking by Karissa Chen.
Yeah, I actually have that on my TBR. I actually brought it home, and what happens is when you have siblings and you work in a library, they see your shelf and they just snatch it.
They steal your books.
They steal my books. So I had probably read the first chapter at least like 5 times now because my sister saw it and she took it from me, and now she's hijacking it. So I have to wait until she finishes it so I can actually continue it. Because that has been on my Goodreads for like months now. I think it's like 2 months, but yeah, I promise you I am going to read it.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah. And so what I wanted to ask you for that one, because I know it's like a big chunky book, is there a large cast of characters that you need to keep track of?
There's the two main characters. There's Suchi and Haiwen, and then they have a lot of members of their families are important to the story. It's not like an overwhelming number of characters where you can't keep up, but there are a lot of significant side characters in it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So I'm getting like sort of like Pachinko vibes for that one.
That's a good
too.
read to
That would be another one.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you'd like to show Pachinko on Apple TV, I think it's Apple TV, right? Or one of the streaming channels. Yeah. I think it's Apple TV.
Or the book.
You might want to check this one out too. It's a debut novel, I believe.
Yes.
From this author. Okay, so I cheated. I know we were supposed to do books, but I brought a movie because I really, really liked this movie, and it pairs really well with the next book that I'm going to pick up. So let me talk about the book that I'm going to read for next. It's called Woodworking by Emily St. James. And Emily St. James is a cultural critic. She's a podcaster. I believe she's written a nonfiction book, so this might be her fiction debut novel. It takes place in 2016. It follows a closeted trans teacher in South Dakota, and she is really struggling with coming out. And so she kind of befriends an openly transgendered student in her school. And now she is trying to navigate her own transness, but also really afraid that if she comes out, that her career might be over. And that her relationship or friendship with this student, which is completely platonical and consensual and nothing wrong with it, is going to be skewed. Mm-hmm. And, that's going to have another impact on her community. So I'm really looking forward to this. I actually found this on Book Riot's 20 most anticipated books by queer authors. I'm really looking forward to it. The reviews have been excellent. There's saying that it's lighthearted, but also really serious too. And I think this might actually be another good pick for book club books and stuff. So that's Woodworking by Emily St. James. And the movie that I brought with is called Blue Jean. This is a directorial debut by Georgia Oakley, and it kind of has a similar theme to it, but it takes place in the 1980s in Great Britain. And this one follows the teacher, whose name is Jean, and she is also closeted a lesbian in her school. And this is when the laws of anti-LGBTQ laws were passed in Britain by Margaret Thatcher when she was Prime Minister. And so you couldn't even utter the words that you were gay. She works in a school, and she keeps her private life as private as she can. And when she has a student that kind of stumbles upon her at a gay club, her life is turned upside down. So now she's wondering, does the student have leverage? Is she going to blackmail me? Am I going to be outed in at the school? And it kind of follows their relationship and her own relationship with her queer identity. So if you love woodworking, and then I would highly recommend picking up Blue Jean too.
We love a good pairing.
Yeah. And this was my favorite movie of 2023. And I really wish more people would pick it up.
So my next read that I am super excited to start, it's called Written in the Waters, a memoir of history, home, and belonging by Tara Roberts. Something that appealed to me about this and about memoirs in general is I love when someone has a unique career, and then bonus points if it's a really adventurous or dangerous career. I'm just so fascinated by how people get into that.
Yeah.
So Tara, she's in her 40s. She doesn't like her job very much. She's kind of stuck. And one day she goes to the National Museum of African American History, and she sees an exhibit about this group that's called Diving with a Purpose.
Okay.
And it's a group of scuba divers that explore shipwrecks from the Atlantic slave route. So Africa, U.S., Mexico, Central America, those areas. And it's estimated that about 1,000 ships sank during that time, and only about 20 of them have been explored. So this group's...
only 20?
Only 20. So this group's entire purpose is to explore these shipwrecks. So Tara has never scuba dived in her entire life. She quits her job, she gets scuba certified, she moves across the world to pursue this, which is extremely cool. And she finds, the work is really historically significant, as I mentioned, but it's also a very personal work for her because she is the descendant of slaves. And she interviews a lot of people for this book that feel the same way, that it's, very emotional and impactful work that they're doing. And she is the first Black female explorer to be featured on the cover of National Geographic, which is super cool.
Wow.
She's one of their explorers in residence. Just overall, she's a very cool person.
That is amazing.
So after I read the book, she has a podcast as well called Into the Depths that I want to check out.
Oh, okay.
I do have a personal interest in scuba diving, which is part of the reason I picked it up, but I don't think you have to have that interest to pick up the book.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. Because I know nothing, next to nothing about scuba diving.
And that's totally fine. I think you would still enjoy the story.
Okay.
Also, bonus points for just a really beautiful cover.
That cover is gorgeous.
Yeah, so that's gorgeous. Written in the Waters by Tara Roberts.
Okay, yeah, see, that's something that I want to read, because the thing is, what I struggle with nonfiction is that it's so, I have this old school mentality. It's so dry. It's all like textbook formats and things like that. But that one would definitely appeal to me because it works on so many levels. sort of personal story. It's got history woven into it. It's got career. So there's a lot of different aspects to it.
It's actually written like almost journal style, where there will just be like a section and like it's like here's what we did this day when we dove in this area or something. So yeah, it's an interesting format.
Yeah.
Those are all the books we have to talk about today. Thank you for joining us, Rummanah. Thank you for tuning in, everyone at home. Remember to like and subscribe and join us for our next episode of Whatcha Reading. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.